I want to do a quick little video, and I will make it short. First of all, hi everybody. God bless. Hope you're doing well. And I just want to explain something for anybody that cares to listen. Having Asperger's, I can't keep dumping that on having Asperger's syndrome means that I really appreciate direct communication, and if there's people say things and want me to read between the lines, it might take me a while to figure that out. So, but I'm not like an idiot. I'm intelligent. I had an IQ test and it was on the higher side. Not that that means anything, right? I mean, if you don't have the street smarts, then the IQ is not going to do much good. Well, it's not going to hurt, right? But excuse me. But so I wanted to quickly say I was in a situation with somebody and I wasn't quite sure if this person liked me or not, right? Because I'm the scapegoat of the family, in my opinion. A family member invited me. I haven't talked to this person in 18 years. And it was their birthday, so I came with bearing gifts, right? I had some gifts, and I wanted to put my best foot forward, okay? To the best of my ability, and we had lunch, and she introduced me to her child that I've never met. Or I was going to be introduced to her child who I've never met. And it was a sibling, so I was sitting down and we had lunch. And there was other people at the table. And we sat around and we were just talking, and she began to introduce people at the table, okay? And to her child, who was a teenager, an older teenager. And when my sibling came to me, they said, and this is, and didn't introduce me. They introduced my husband as uncle, and my husband's never met my family, never met her child. But let's say the guy's name was, I'm not going to say his name, but I'll say his name was Ralphie. So she goes, oh, and this is Uncle Ralphie. And then they looked, and this is, and she points to me, and this is, anyway, blah, 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 blah. And I said, later, I didn't say it at the time because we were all sitting and eating lunch. I wasn't going to make a scene. Later, I asked her about that. I said, why didn't you introduce me? Even my name. Oh, I didn't want Ralphie to feel uncomfortable. Okay, what does that have to do with me, right? This is what I mean by passive-aggressive behavior, because I had been stating quite often that I felt like the scapegoat of the family. I felt like I know I have this one eyebrow that goes up and one goes down. Like when I get upset, one eyebrow goes up like Spock. But anyway, this is what I mean about this kind of communication that seems like an insult to me, right? And then I had emailed her, texted her, because and I just said, I've always felt like I was the family scapegoat, and I don't want that, so like that's the thing. I was at the point where, okay, I should know better, right? But I was at the point where I think if I just tell people what I want, if I just communicate what I want, this is obviously a misunderstanding, right? I'll just be more clear. I'm just not being clear enough. And so I remember I had this heartfelt text. I wrote a text, and there were two texts back to back, okay, which you're not supposed to do. I know that now. And I was kind of pouring my heart out a little bit, right? Which you're not supposed to do either. Like in a text, is supposed to be like, "Hi, how you doing? Want to go for coffee?" But anyway, the response to my heartfelt text was LOL. Oh, LOL. You know, which was like a gut punch, right? And then, oh, I was responding to the text above that one. Like there was two text backs, you know, one then another one. Oh, I was responding to the first text, not the second text. See, okay. So there's a sense of plausible deniability there. Well, let's just say there was all this kind of funny things that were going on, okay? And we were talking about some other things. And I mentioned that, you know, there was a news article, you know, and I was going through some depression, I guess, or sadness over my dad's death. And it took me a while to get over that, okay? And we were talking about that. And we got on the topic of MAID, medical assistance for dying. You know, in Canada they have that. They have medical assistance for dying in Canada, where people can legally kill themselves, okay? Plus, we're Catholic. I'm Catholic, and so let's see, so that other person I'm talking to is also Catholic, okay? And we got on that topic, and I said, and I was quite emotional, and I said I would never do that. I would never get MAID, okay? And I made a point of saying that I'd never get MAID. And I talked about how some counselors, you know, where in BC will actually, you know, British Columbia, where I live, will actually have suggested it to people that are depressed, right? There was even a girl that was depressed, and she went into the hospital, and they actually said, "Have you ever considered MAID?" That would solve all your problems. You know, I mean, and you know, she was really horrified. It was a big news article. I said so. I told her I referred it to that, and that was on a FaceTime that we did. And then the next FaceTime, we're talking, and she brings up Robin Williams, about Robin Williams dying, and I said that was terrible, right? That he died. I said, you know, he needed some help, and she had said, well, he could have always gotten MAID. And I looked at her, you know, actually I was kind of surprised that she'd said that, considering the last talk, when I made it very clear that that MAID was really upsetting. And plus it goes against every, you know, Catholic belief system. You're not supposed to even say that, hey, just get MAID. But, so I said, no, I said he needed help. And I don't agree with that. And then I also said, trying to get my other side to go up so it matches this eye. Okay, go on. And I said, I'd never get MAID. And she went, no? Not, oh yeah, okay, you know what? That's good to hear. Or, you know, or anything, just no. Like, are you sure? That's how I felt. And I confronted her with that. And there was this plausible deniability, or sometimes this plausible deniability, or I'm just not going to discuss that. And for me, okay, maybe somebody's ticked off at you and they want to get back at you, or maybe they're angry at you. And so they say things to you indirectly. They don't come right out and tell you. And I don't want that. I will not have that. But then, okay, then I'm the enemy now, because I basically said I cannot be in this relationship. And I can't be the kicking bag and the punching bag, and then your kids will see me being mistreated, and it's just a very unhealthy situation. Like you're put in a no-win situation. What are you going to do? It forces me to play dirty too, you know, have to insult back, or have to constantly defend myself. And if you think, well, just put up with it, and it's like, no, I don't want to have to do that, because that's what I lived with my entire life as growing up. And that's what I've been fighting against, because my father treated me very badly in front of all the family. And it was normalized, in my opinion, to treat me that way. A part of it was because of my personality, and he was constantly calling me these funny names, and he'd slam me into walls on a regular basis, like it was a Western. And maybe people would think that was funny. You know, maybe in a shocking way, it's funny when a big, huge 6'5" guy takes his daughter and slams her into a wall. And maybe, ha 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 ha, you know. It's not funny for the person who's getting it. Like, this isn't a skit. This isn't a TV show. You know, this is real life. And I didn't want to be manhandled, and I don't want to be psychologically manhandled either. One quick thing I want to say is my father passed away. Nobody told me that he died. I found out on my own. And I wasn't even sure if it was real, the obituary. So that my counselor told me I should get a death certificate. So I got the death certificate, and that brought some closure, because then I thought, okay, he is gone. And it takes a while to heal from this kind of stuff, because I'm older now and I'm still healing, because you know what, you never stop healing. And don't ever feel that it's too late for you. Okay, it's never too late. But part of my healing was obtaining something that I lost long ago, because I don't want to cry. One of the things that I lost was my pictures, my childhood pictures. When I was put into a foster home when I was 15, all the pictures, everything was missing, right? Because when the police come, I was in the back seat of the police car. The police come and they gather all your stuff, right? They tell, you know, your family to gather all your stuff, and they put it in this big black plastic bag, right? And so I wasn't allowed to gather my things. I didn't have a chance to gather my stuff. So I got some of my stuff, but I didn't get, you know, the pictures. And I know that there's some people in positions of power who have those pictures. They've told me that those pictures are in their possession. And so when my dad passed away, and I was looking at things, and I started speaking up and asking questions and being more of an advocate for myself. And I did the door in the face technique, because I thought that would help me get my pictures. And first of all, we live in BC, so in BC legally, I should have been informed that my dad passed away. I wasn't. I should have been given a copy of the will. If there was a will, I should have been given a copy of the will. I wasn't given any copy of the will. I should have been given some information on how the assets were divided. I wasn't given anything. So when another person, the person that had introduced me, reached out, I started speaking up a little bit. And I started going, was there a will? And things like that, right? And, oh, I don't know. I don't think there was. I didn't get one. And then all of a sudden it's like, there is one. And then another person who's in a position of power emailed me and said, oh yeah, I found one. I found it. I can mail it to you, but I don't want to give them my physical address, because as a scapegoat, in my opinion, that's not a good thing. I don't want to give people my physical address. I asked, well, could you scan it and email it to me? And that never came about. And I did write an email just stating my heart. Like, you know, the thing is, you can't keep on explaining yourself to people if they don't want to listen to you, in my opinion. Okay? It's like, there's a technique called JADE. Don't do JADE. Don't justify, argue, defend, and over-explain. Explain. Because then, you know, how many times do you have to say something to a person, right? Like, if you went to a place to get, you know, a burger or something, and they never get it right, you just don't go back to that place anymore. You don't go, okay, I said I wanted a pickle. Hey, this is a piece of chicken here. I wanted a burger. You know, like, you can say it over and over and over. You can complain to go, oh yes, yeah, sure, I'll do it better next time. And then maybe it's best just to go to another place. But I didn't have the option, because I wanted this information. I did write my heart and soul, and no communication. And then I decided, okay, you know what I really want is my childhood pictures. That's what I want. Don't give it. I don't need a copy of the will. I don't need a list of how the assets were divided. I'm not going to get a subpoena and all that, and I don't want to do that. I just want my childhood pictures. And so I wrote 2 emails and I sent a letter asking for my childhood pictures, because that is part of my healing. And that's what I asked for. And so far, no contact. So, if anything, it proves, yes, my belief that I'm at the bottom of the pile is accurate. And me walking away to preserve myself was the right thing to do, because look at this, you can't even be decent enough to say, you know what, sure, I'll put the pictures in a box. You can, God bless you. Things didn't work out, but, God bless you. Instead of, I'm just going to ghost you. I was given, one of the people reached out and then cut off all contact with no explanation. So during the pandemic, one of the people, the position of power, reached out, and then they just cut all contact off and didn't explain why. Okay? They know that I have Asperger's syndrome. They know that I can struggle with communication sometimes, and maybe I might say something that insults somebody or who knows what. But if I'm not told, then they have an opportunity to explain, to understand, to change, or even argue and say, actually, you're out of line. And then after 6 years of no contact, I sent a few emails just to see, well, hey, you still there? What's going on? Plus, a part of you is thinking, are you okay? I mean, like, this is the pandemic, right? So are you hurt? Did something bad happen to you? But I discovered no. And I sent some Christmas presents. And I said, I would send more presents, because I thought maybe that's one thing I can do. It's a concrete thing for an Asperger person to do. So I said, maybe I could send gifts, for you guys and your kids. And I never got anything back. And then another member of the family reached out to me in 2025, and that's when I wasn't introduced, right after 18 years. So this doesn't look like I'm being treated very well. And in my opinion. And so what are you going to do, right? I mean, then after that, I asked for my family pictures. Whatever happens, if I get them, I'll be really surprised. And if I don't get them, that means you're just sitting on them. I was told that the person who ghosted me for 6 years, the other person who reached out in 2025 said, okay, well, the person who ghosted me is willing to talk to you, willing to talk to me. I was one who was ghosted with no explanation. I don't know what's going on. And now the person who didn't talk to me for 6 years is willing to talk to me, as if I'm the one who's the problem. I did something wrong. And that is, in my opinion, absolute humiliation to say that to a person. Okay, I cut off all contact, but now I'm willing to talk to you. As if they're the God and you are just this minion. And I said very specifically, in this family, I want to be treated with respect. I want to be an equal. And it's not a matter of just having a relationship. It's having a healthy and good relationship. And I was told that, the pictures are in a storage in one of their rooms in their house. And I was sent a picture of a room that was filled with garbage and recyclables, and it was filled, with all this stuff, right? And I was said, well, I can go in there and help dig through everything. I've never been to this person's house. I haven't seen this person in about 18 years. The person ghosted me for 6 years. And now I'm supposed to just pop. I've never met their child. I've never, I'm not part of the family. I'm just going to walk into a house where I've never met anybody and go into an enclosed room as an Asperger person and dig through garbage. to find my pictures. And I said, I don't feel comfortable doing that. You know, I said, if you could just, I mean, why? I know that you have the pictures. I've seen them before in your possession. If you can find some, please put them in a box. You know, you can hire one of those organization things, or hire a cleaner for a day, right? To organize that room. But to ask me the way I was treated to go in there and do that, to me, that's unacceptable. And also, all my dad's stuff would be in there too. So I'll be going through all dad's things are in there. And I thought, well, since I haven't seen my dad in over 30 years and I was a scapegoat and he violently abused me, I don't think I really want to subject myself to that in order to get my childhood pictures. So could you do me this one favor? Because I never ask for anything, right, of them. I rarely ask anything. And even one time, it was always like, oh, the whole family has to help so-and-so. The whole family has to get together to help so-and-so. And one time I asked a member of the family, and I said, how come nobody ever does that for me? How come I'm never the one that the people, band together to help? And the person said, oh, because you don't need the help. You don't need any help. And I said, yes, I do. I need as much help as anybody else. And then there was silence. So anyway, I just wanted to share an update, and we'll see if I get my pictures or not. Anyway, God bless and take care.